Welcome to Ritual Scale Modelling. This is part 13 of Revell's Vasa. Scale is 1 to 50. In this part I'm going to be doing more rigging. Now initially in part 12 I said the rigging was almost complete. I did actually forget about the yards. That's the what the sails are attached to on the mast. I completely slipped my mind that I hadn't done these yet. So I was wrong when I said the rigging was almost complete. I've still got a little bit to do. So this is what is going to be in this video. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. First of all, I've got to create a new anchor point. So I've taken a little bit of scrap plastic here and I'm making an anchor. So I'm just drilling a hole in it to pass the cord through. And once the cord's in, as you can see there on the bench, I'm just going to be placing this in just in front of the flag mast. Now, the gate doesn't say you should have one there, but there's, I don't know the ship too well, but I think there must be one around there somewhere, a purely block system to hold the jigging, the jigger rigging, as well as for the flag mast. So it makes sense to put it there. So once I've got it in position and I'm happy with it, I can move on. So I'm just putting it in on the front of where the mast is. Just a little bit of cement to hold it in there. Now remember the deck paint is very thin, so I can just apply glue directly to it and it will melt it away to become a solid unit on the base. Starting off with the bowsprit, and I'm just tying on a purely block here. Now these blocks should point out come from an older kit. I've mentioned it before. It comes from the USS United States, a Revell kit that I done last year, I think it was. The video's on the channel if you want to have a look at it. If I remember at all, I'll also put a link in directly. So I'm just tying up these little blocks and pulleys, but the line that I'm going to leave here, I'm not going to be securing that to the hull at the moment, because I'll be wanting to put the sails in at some point here, and I don't know what tension I'll need until the sails actually go in. Each yard has its own pulley to be fitted, and these actually get placed underneath the bowsprit here. There's two tiny little holes. You can see just me passing my threader through, so that I can pull the thread, well, the cord through. And as I said, I'm not pulling these taut and securing them in position until I actually put on the sails later on in the build. But saying that, after having another look at it, the bottom two I could actually secure. So once I pass them through the hole, I'm going to pull these taut. I will put a loose knot in it just in case I do have to sort out the tension. But in reality, I could lock this one off now. I'm moving to the top part of the foremast, which is the raw yard part. And first of all, I'm putting in a little bit of rigging here, and it's just a little knot at the top of it to secure it with a little bit of cement as well, of course. And then I'll take the tailpiece and just wrap it around the tip of the yard before putting it tight, and I'll secure that with a little bit of cement also. Now before I cut the cord, I measured to make sure I've got enough here, because this is getting run over to the main mast. So one, I had to make sure I've got a proper good stable knot before I run it over, and two, obviously without saying, I have to make sure that I've got enough cord not only to reach the main mast, but also enough to secure it too. So once I was happy with that, it was time to place in a little dead eye, and that will go over the two main parts of the cord here. And basically you're looking to form a triangle, for it all to come into one single cord before it reaches the main mast. It's a bit difficult to see here because of my hands are in the way, but unfortunately it's the nature of doing rigging. It's quite delicate work, and my hands are going to be in the way quite a lot doing it. So as you can see there, the dead eye is on and it brings the two cords together, and I'm just pulling it over to the main mast. And the thing about this dead eye is I haven't cemented it into place or anything, because I can move that up and down and sort out the tension after I do some more, so I can always keep it nice and taut. And to secure it, I'm simply just again tying a simple knot to the mast. Now, to be honest with you, it shouldn't have the two cords coming together like this. It should be two into the dead eye and one line running from the dead eye to the mast. However, I leave the two because it's easier to tie off. And as you can see, that's going to the cap at the top. Now, for the next one down, which is from the upper top yard, so where the upper top sail goes, it's the same process, placing the line on each tip of the yard before putting my dead eye on and securing it to the cross tree on the main yard this time. So as I'm tying that, you can see it pulling into the tension, and you will start to see that triangle shape coming or taking form as such. But the important things here is not to place any cement on the actual dead eye itself, because I will want to move that up and down during the build so that I know I'm getting the tension. And I should point out as well, not every line should be connected to a pulley or a block. I'm just tipping it over there to see the actual pattern. As you can see, all coming together now. But going back to the block, not everything gets connected to a block. A lot of it is just connected to the mast. These are the ones that really don't move while sailing a ship, so there's no need to have a block or pulley connected to them. But the easiest way to remember is look at what the line is going to be doing, the cord that you're putting in. What would that do? Would it move something, or is it there just to stabilize a mast or something like that? If it's there just to stabilize, then there's a good chance that you don't have to put a block on it. But don't worry if you get this wrong. I get them wrong all the time, and I've done a few of these. Now, I'm just pointing out the mainstays here. These are going to be placed on near the end of the build. However, the from the yards, I should say the lower yard, they are going to be connected onto this. So I'm using my threader once more to go into the block that I placed on ages ago, and I'll be running the line through that block. But like the bowsprit, I will not be tightening these up. These won't get tightened up until the mainstays get connected to the mast, and obviously when the shrouds go on as well. The top yards, so that's the upper top and the top gallant and royal, they're all connected to the mizzen mast. So they're all done the same way as the foremasts, forming the triangle, but I'm taking the upper lines over to the mizzen mast. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm just tying them off, making sure I get good enough tension once more. Now, if you're worried about the tension slacking off, which happens quite a lot when you're rigging a ship, don't be afraid just to leave the knots loose, then tie it up all at the end. But I would say always start at the prow of the ship, whether you've got a bowsprit or just a normal prow, whatever. Start that way and work your way back. That way, when you pull in the last one, everything should just pull in together and be nice and tight. I should say I actually made a slight mistake here. I said the 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 lower yard should be connected to the mainstay where the shroud goes. That wasn't the main mast lower yard. That was actually the foremast lower yard. The main mast lower yard gets connected through a little porthole at the side of the hull at the stern of the ship. So this is what I've got here. I'm doing. I've taken a thin piece of card and just passing it through the hole with a bit of cord taped to it. So as you can see there, it's not a huge hole, and I've had a long enough needle. It would have been easier, but a bit of card, plastic card, will do as well. So I just pull it through if it doesn't fall out, of course. It took me 1 or 2 goes to get this done. As you can imagine, it was quite frustrating. But I got it done in the end. And the reason why I'm putting it through now is, and not 2 lines separately, just 1 line is going to go through this instead of 2, because that way I don't have to try and bung up the hole with glue or something like that to get these lines secured. Ideally, I should have placed them in before I put the deck on. I just didn't think, tell you the truth. I never thought about it whatsoever. Um, but luckily I was able to get this done. As I say, it was a little bit frustrating, but I was able to sort it out. And these 2 lines connect to the main mast at the lower yard, just above my hand there. And once I've got the block on, as you can see, they're loose, but I'll be pulling them taut once I get both blocks on, so from each side, and then I'll pull both of them taut. That way I should have tension on both lines running into the hull. And it's the same process for the lower yard on the mizzen mast. The next hole down is a simple thing again of tying the cord to the plastic card and just pushing it through until I got the other end, then tying it all off once it was taut. And once all that was done, I can move on to the jigger or spanker, whatever terminology you would like to use on this. And this gets tied onto the extra anchor point that I placed on. Now I'm using just 1 line of cord here, quite a large line, and that's also going to encompass the line work for the actual flagpole as well. So once I pass it through, I'll just be moving it over to the flag post and leaving a bit of slack for that. I haven't made up my mind whether I'm actually going to be putting in the flags or not. I'll decide near the end of the build on that one. And so while I'm doing this, this is where I'll end part 13. So there was quite a lot done. A little bit, video was a little bit longer than normal because of that. But I wanted to try and explain exactly what was happening more than I normally do, because my hands were actually blocking a lot of the process. So I thought I'd try and verbalize it a little bit more. So hopefully you understood what I was doing. So in the meantime, if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? If you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell and you'll be kept up to date not only with this build, but all my future builds, of course. If you like to leave a comment, please do so. Don't be afraid not to. I really don't mind what your thoughts are on the build, as long as they're constructive or the negative. Negative comments are great, as long as they're constructive. And of course, you can share the video as well. Also hit that like button, that's all helps. So in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed what you've seen here today. Got any questions, just let me know in the comments, as I said. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.